I'm Kayla Amanda, welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for being here. I finished my draft. So basically, as soon as I posted my video about my self-sabotaging ways and put that on blast, video in the cards, I went ahead and finished my book anyway, which is sort of interesting timing if you think about it. It was like as soon as I was willing to confront what was holding me back and the fears that were at the root of my struggles, I was able to tackle them head on and move forward through it. Also, I got some really great advice. My friend Porter, who I talk about like weirdly a lot, told me to think about finishing as its own accomplishment. I was really wrapped up in thinking about finishing as a part of the process. You finish, you revise. You beta, you revise. You send to whomever, right? It was a part of this big old thing. And that was really scary to deal with. That was so much bigger than just finishing. And once I could contextualize it as just a single step that didn't have to mean all of these other things, it got a lot easier to focus on that and to actually do it. It was great advice. It's really weird to think that just a few weeks ago, I was literally sitting here talking about how I didn't think that I would ever be in this position, that I would ever finish this draft because it was so big and so scary. But here I am and I'm done, and it's trash and needs so much work, but it's done and I can move on to the next step. And it's kind of nice, well, okay, it's not nice. It's interesting to have it on record because I was feeling so shitty and so insecure and I doubted myself so much. But in retrospect, now I have it on video, and next time I'm in that bad, dark place where I'm not thinking clearly, I can go watch it again and say, you felt this way before, you've thought this before, and look, like 2 weeks later, you finished your draft, you're done, and you can move on to whatever's next. And I think it's nice to have that on record, to have proof of it for myself, not just anecdotally from other people, but from my own perspective. That's the old saying, right? If you're going through it, keep going. I know that can be kind of cheesy, but in this case, and for me, it was true. Not in a blindly pushing forward kind of way, not in move forward at any cost, because that wasn't helping me. Sitting in front of my computer and plucking out a few hundred words a day, feeling miserable about it, was not going to get me to a finished manuscript. But if you're going through it, keep going by reflecting on what's actually going on for you. Reflecting on what it is that you're going through and what that struggle is. Because when I was filming that video, when I was ready to get vulnerable enough to talk to the camera and to strangers out in internet land about what I was afraid of and what I was insecure about, it got a lot easier for me to handle it. It got a lot easier for me to get realistic with myself about why I was afraid and why I was insecure and whether or not those feelings were valid or were just me being self-sabotaging. So yes, if you're going through it, keep going, but also taking the time to self-reflect and to get honest with yourself about why you're feeling the way you are is incredibly powerful and incredibly helpful. So I really appreciate you guys for being an audience that can hear that from me and who I can share that with as I work through my process. Because now I'm fucking done, y'all. I'm fucking done. The dumbest part though is that I needed someone to remind me to treat finishing as its own accomplishment, to not worry about what comes after and just think about that next step. Because I have this like huge ass tattoo on my arm that's from a 2007 Neil Gaiman pep talk for NaNoWriMo. The full quote is, "You write. That's the hard bit that nobody sees. You write on the good days, you write on the bad days. Like a shark, you must keep moving forward or you die." Writing may or may not be your salvation. Writing may or may not be your destiny, but that doesn't matter. What matters are the words, one after another. Find the next word, write it down. Repeat, repeat, repeat. Clearly, I recognized that this was going to be a problem for me even 10 years ago and got it tattooed on my arm as a reminder that didn't really work, since I still need my friends to tell me from time to time that I can focus on just the next step, that can be its own reward, and I don't need to catastrophize down the entire long list of things that will eventually need to happen to this book. I can maybe give myself a break. But that's what's so great about writer friends. They lovingly bully you and they cheerlead you and they remind you of shit you already know. But it's done, which is amazing because I've been working on this dumb thing since December of 2019, which feels like just a lifetime ago. Yikes. And yes, it is the most zero draft of all possible zero drafts, and it needs so much work, but it's a completed draft, so I can do that work, so I can go back and fix it. Although I didn't actually think I was a zero drafter. I thought that was for people who didn't outline, but it turns out that I am both an overboard outliner, full-on spreadsheets and color coding, and also a zero drafter, which is really a testament to how fucking terrible my pacing is. I always try to do way too much and it bites me in the ass. I know there's some general wisdom about setting your draft aside and giving yourself space before you look at it again, but I don't think that I'm gonna do that. I don't want to lose any momentum, and I think with how messy this zero draft is, I really want to go back into it while still remembering the changes that I wanted to make and still being very present in that world and in that story. So I'm gonna drink my shockingly terrible bubbly, and I'm gonna go for a walkies with my mom and maybe watch like a lot of Stargate Atlantis, but then tomorrow I'm gonna jump right back into revisions. And sorry not sorry, but I think there's gonna be a lot of revisions videos coming up in the next little while. I think it's gonna really take over my life, and unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on your point of view, also my YouTube channel. I guess the first question is, do I reread it first or go right back to my outline and tackle the changes I wanna make in Acts 1 and 2? Well, 1 and 2A. I kind of feel like I want to go back into my outline and get clear on the changes that I want to make so that when I do reread it, I can reread it with that in mind and I can focus on achieving that end as opposed to rereading it and then trying to figure out the changes I want to make. I think that's the plan. Outline, then rereading. Anyways, thank you so much for being here and enduring this rambly video. I really appreciate it. I know that there's only 30 of you and that isn't a lot, like in the grand scheme of things, but that's not all people who I know personally. There are people who might be watching this who aren't invested in my life, who don't know me in my real world, and who still give a shit about the fact that I'm done. And that's really special to me. So I just wanted to say thanks for that. And thanks for sticking with the fuck ton of revision videos that are probably coming up. What do you do when you celebrate finishing a draft? Or if you haven't finished a draft, what do you plan to do? Will you be like me and buy the cheapest bottle of bubbly you can find because you're like really not that into champagne to begin with? Let me know down below. Any other questions, comments, concerns, complaints, whatever, you can leave down below. I would love it if you would subscribe and like. I'm gonna be posting a bunch of revision videos apparently, so that'll be something. Maybe I'll start like a playlist. If you're looking for me anywhere else, I am pretty much everywhere as Kayla Amanda. That is KAYLUGHMANDA. And I will see you next time. It was definitely $6.46. Wow, okay. That is a $6 bottle of bubbly. Cool. Well, fuck it. Yeah.